Welcome to Monday, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to a hot countdown. If you hear fans in the background, excuse them, because without them and under the hot light, your boy would absolutely melt, and we'd never get from 10 down to 1. This time, this topic, as suggested by our buddy Raz, once again a shout out to Raz, this is the top 10 non-transforming Transformers. It did not include model kits. They'll be their own list, probably next week. So if it was a model kit, that got excluded. The top 10 non-transforming Transformers, it could be a character that doesn't really transform, doesn't have an alt mode, or it could have been something from a line that doesn't transform. Bit of a weird one, especially if you ascribe to the belief that Transformers should transform. So what are the top 10 Transformers that don't? That's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot Countdown. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you are at it, light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. Helps me out a ton. Let you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that's in the description down below. Also in the description down below. And if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. So like I said, top 10 non-transforming Transformers characters, right? Excuse the fans if you happen to hear them in the background. Such is life. It's summer. It's hot. What are you going to do? We have, for our honorable mentions this time, the Action Master Thundercracker. Wild colors on that Thundercracker. The Funko Pop Retro Toys Laserbeak. Not really familiar with it, but I bet you it's adorable. The little wheelie that comes with 86 Grimlock. I detested the thing, but people do really like that. Death's Head. That was a bit of an iffy one to include because it's not technically Transformers, but I understand because of the Marvel Comics and because of the role that Death's Head has played in the Transformers universe. I absolutely get it, so I said I'll allow it. Luckily, I didn't really have to worry about it countdown-wise because he didn't actually make it. He was just an honorable mention. Love Death's Head, though. And Action Master Treadshot. Treadshot, I'm sure, got a lot of the support that he got, if for no other reason than because of his use in Crosshair Productions, Ascension and Shattered Glass and that stuff, right? Shout out to Crosshair Productions. Joel's a good guy. So yeah, those right there, those are the honorable mentions. They did not make the list. Who did? What did? You know what we're going to do? We're going to kick things off as we always do with number 10 first. And kicking us off at number 10 is this Action Master... And kicking us off at number 10 is this Action Master Shockwave. And like, I loved this version of Shockwave. I know it's small, I know it's Action Masters, but it looked very much like the cartoon, except for the orange on the chest and his blaster being orange. But that aside, unlike the actual Shockwave release, which was much bigger and did transform into the laser blaster, I can remember as a lad bending him over at the waist, basically putting his arms out ahead of him and saying, there you go, laser blaster, right? Yeah, use your imagination. But he looked very much like the cartoon with those couple of color caveats. In terms of articulation, I mean, ball-jointed hips meant forward, back, and splits to the side. He had knees, which was great. And the arms, granted, no elbow and no out to the side, but at least at the shoulder they could go around and the head could rotate. It was a ton more than what we were used to at the time, while also kind of capturing the essence of the cartoon. And not for nothing, at an affordable price, he was the only Shockwave that was a part of my Decepticon team. Yes, I wanted the bigger one. Yes, I wanted the one that actually transformed, but I ended up with the Action Master. Got him Christmas morning, in my stocking no less. And I can remember opening him, playing with him, until my parents actually woke up. I couldn't have been happier with Action Master Shockwave. And on a personal note, I'm actually tickled that he made the number 10 slot. Coming in at number 9 is another favorite of mine, and it's this. Action Master Rad. How often have I said, give me an updated Rad? The closest we had was... I can't remember if it was from Unicron. I want to say Unicron Trilogy, and it's Smokescreen, but the head on it is Rad's head. And a lot of people have said, like, It's technically the only update we've had to Action Master Rad. I'd love to get a proper Rad. I always assumed, a lot of people assume Rad turned into a car. I always assumed Rad turned into a motorcycle. I always thought the way his chest and stuff looked seemed a little more angular than I would expect for a car. That's the way I was as a kid anyway. This is one of those characters that I don't think ever had an alt mode, and I don't think he really existed beyond Action Masters. I think that he was a creation of that time with just hints of what could be an alt mode. Rad. Loved him as an Action Master, would love to see him updated. But for now, for non-transforming Transformers, he takes the number 9 slot. Now number 8, and I do believe this is a little bit of a cheat, and I actually own this. Got it fairly recently actually, and it's this. It's Kicker. I mean, I get it, Kicker's a human, he's not an actual Transformer, but he doesn't transform. He hasn't, like, at best, like a motorcycle suit. I guess you could call it an exosuit for lack of a better term. But he is considered an official member of the Autobot team, ergo he doesn't transform, but he's not really a transformer, but you see the slippery slope for Kicker. Hate the guy, really do. Love though that he has like a G.I. Joe type of body for his figure, even if where the screw hole should be in the back is actually filled in. So once the O-ring goes, it would be an absolute pain in the neck to replace. Nevertheless, Kicker doesn't transform and he takes the number 8 slot. Coming in at number 7, we go all the way back to G1, and it's Roller. Yeah, I mean, I get it that Roller and the trailer and Optimus's proper body are all considered part of Optimus, but I think we all know that Roller, in his own unique little way, even as that little car, had, I guess, even some minor personality to him. I think we all remember that episode, for example, when Roller goes in the cave and the cave explodes and Optimus is rolling down over the side and yells, "Roller!" And luckily Roller comes out unscathed. But for a little car that does little more than, well, roll, a lot of us as little lads were invested and heartbroken for Optimus possibly losing his little buddy. What more do you want from a Transformer and a Transformers character that doesn't transform? Now I know that since then, in the comic universe, I want to say in IDW, Roller became fully sentient and did transform and whatnot. But we're going right back to G1. We're going back to the vehicle that's inside the trailer of Optimus. Roller takes the number 7 slot. Coming at number 6, something far more sinister with this character. A Quintesson Judge. Now, in Earthrise, granted, that Quintesson Judge did transform into that weird thing, but I think we all know that as a character, as what they are, the Quintesson Judges do not transform. The closest they get to is their heads rotating to show those different parts of their personalities and whatnot. That doesn't count. It's not transforming. Perhaps one of the most sinister, perhaps one of the most terrifying of all Transformers characters, being the Quintesson Judges, because of just how brutal and vicious they actually are. An important character that doesn't transform, and we waited years and years and years to get it, like a judge in plastic. Why? Because as Transformers, they gotta transform. And this didn't. That's what made it rough. That's what made it hard. Alpha Q, shout out to Alpha Q, because he was kind of the first one that sort of let us in to what could be someday a Quintesson that didn't need to change. Yeah, the Quintesson Judge takes the number 6 slot. And now a hush falls over the crowd because we've reached the ever coveted, ever popular halfway mark. And at the halfway mark, we go to Beast Wars, and it is Transmutate. And what can I say? Transmutate was basically a messed up protoform that had a ton of actual power. Terrifying amount of power, actually. And was befriended by, of all creatures, Rampage, or Protoform X, if you will. I guess oddity attracts oddity. I, for one, always found Transmutate to look very creepy with the way the animation was done, but I think when you look at the evolution of the character and the way that the character is presented in the episode, you really tend to feel for Transmutate. And even more so, at least I found, I actually felt bad for Rampage. Who would have figured? Transmutate didn't have an alt mode, but Transmutate was both potentially a serious friend and a serious threat. And Transmutate takes the number 5 slot. Coming in at number 4, we have this. It is the R.E.D. Robot Enhanced Design, or R.E.D, if you will, Coronation Starscream. A lot of people said, look, I didn't want to get the full Coronation 86 Starscream, that thing was expensive. But the R.E.D Starscream, that was a fraction of the price, and you could still certainly put on all the Coronation gear. You had a nice Coronation looking Starscream, and you could even, if you had like the New Age Constructicons and stuff, not the New Age, the X9 Constructicons, like they kind of scale okay enough that you could sort of set up a bit of a display with it. Sort of a Legends set of Constructicons, because they'd be a little bit smaller than Starscream anyway. I don't know about all that, honestly, but you know what? Who am I to argue? If people like the R.E.D line, if people like that version of Coronation Starscream, and a lot of people said that they actually like the cape and the shoulder pads for that Starscream better than the 86. Make of that what you will. I'm not familiar with it myself, so I can't say. I can only tell you what voters said. But Coronation Starscream from the R.E.D line takes the number 4 slot. Coming in at number 3, we have this. It's McAdam. Now, a couple of people said, wait, McAdam was a model. No, McAdam was a BAF, a Build-A-Figure, which is a bit different than a model kit, because all you're really doing is taking the torso and plugging on the arms over the ball joints and plugging the legs on over the ball joints. Not exactly a model per se. So I allowed McAdam to be there because I don't at all consider it a model kit. As somebody who's not a fan of model kits, because I find them quite difficult, this is far simpler than that. I don't think it's enough parts having to go together to really categorize it as a model kit. Truth be told, I think the thing should have just been sold as a deluxe anyway. It doesn't transform, it doesn't need to transform. Even though McAdam in Cyberverse does have an alt mode that we don't really see other than a shadow of it sort of off screen. If it's true that he's Optimus Prime, he doesn't really need to have an alt mode anyway, since the Primes existed before the ability to transform, right? Make of it what you will. I love McAdam. I think he turned out really cool. Really glad to have him. Even if I'm getting Alchemist, I could keep McAdam as the barkeep, as the guy that runs McAdam's, as his old oil house, right? And have him be a completely unique character separate from Alchemist. Anyway you cut it, he looks cool, he's functional, he's posable, he's fun, he's McAdam, and he takes the number 3 slot. And now we're into the top 2, and at number 2 is one of my absolute favorites with this guy. Action Master banzai-tron. I love banzai-tron. He was one of, it's so weird, I didn't have, as a lad, like a lot of kids, when I collected Transformers, I tended to go for the Autobots because they were cars and stuff. I wasn't a huge Decepticon guy, and eventually I noticed, hey, my two sides are really at a sync, and that's around the time Action Masters came out. So I really filled out a lot of my Decepticon ranks with Action Masters. banzai-tron quickly became one of my favorites. I had no idea what his alt mode was supposed to even be, but I knew he was a Decepticon ninja. And at the time, I felt like he had the pose ability that would allow him to get some side kicks and thrust kicks and crescent kicks and a lot of kicks and even a few chops, because he was a martial artist, right? I always surmised that he was probably some sort of a weird plane, Cybertronian plane thing, so I would always have his legs do the splits, put his arms kind of down as thrusters, and he became a plane. I have no idea what his alt mode was actually supposed to be, and I'm not going to lie, I've been real tempted to get the Super 7 Ultimates. Maybe one day I will, maybe one day I won't, I don't know. But a modern banzai-tron is missing from my collection, and he was one of my absolute favorites as a kid. I'm really happy that the voters remember him just as fondly and slotted him in at the number 2 slot. And now here we are, very tippy top number 1. And at number 1 we have this. Action Master Optimus Prime. Now there was a recolor that made him more G1 accurate. There was one vote for that, but I put it in with the regular Action Master Optimus Prime as well. And that was like a very limited release. I think it was from Japan, or it was like Japanese only, maybe even a convention exclusive or some sort of thing, but it's very rare. Action Master Optimus, I mean, at the time, coming off of G1 and G2, which was really just the G1 Optimus, and Power Master Optimus Prime, this one, being able to have legs that weren't connected, had knees, could kick, could do splits, and all of the stuff that Optimus should and could do. It was like, wow, this Optimus is so articulated. In looking at his angular eyes and crest on his head, I do get vibes of both Ginrai a little bit. I do get vibes of Star Convoy just a little bit, even though it's obviously Optimus Prime. Because the Action Masters basically gave up in fiction their ability to transform for an energy source, because they were going to like die of starvation basically without proper energon, at least he came with a truck that was like a big, I don't want to call it a base per se, it was kind of a base I suppose, but it was like a rolling battle embankment, I guess base of operations type of thing. I remember seeing it and seeing the Megatron and thinking, man, I want both. I never ended up getting them, but I always salivated over them because I would have been super happy to have them as my 2 faction leaders at the time. Granted, we've come a long way since those days, but good old Action Master Optimus Prime, when he came out, for the articulation, for the fact that you still had a transport truck, and that transport truck was armed to the teeth, and now you had an articulated Optimus, there was a lot there in that package to like, even if Optimus didn't transform proper. Optimus Prime, Action Master, takes the #1 slot for best non-transforming Transformer, according to fan votes. And that's it. We've gone from 10 down to 1 once again. Other ones that had votes, and there were a lot that had votes. 3-0 Rodimus, the M Deluxe Rodimus, I should say. The Red G1 Megatron, the M Deluxe Megatron, the M Deluxe Bumblebee, the 3-0 Premium Last Night Optimus Prime, and the Premium ROTF Megatron. The M Deluxe Acid Storm and Starscream. My Little Prime, which was basically My Little Pony done as Optimus Prime. The 3-0 Optimus Primal. G1 6-Gun, Red RC. Action Master Bumblebee. I liked Action Master Bumblebee and his like backpack with the helicopter blades. Who else had votes here? Oh, the Revoltech Megatron. Man, he was really good. 3-0 Deluxe Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime. Or sorry, Optimus Primal. Action Master Slicer, Action Master Jazz, Action Master Devastator, Super 7, the Alligator Optimus, Super 7 Banzai-tron, Bop It, Optimus Prime, I don't really even know that one. Red Cheetor, Red Knockout. Red Knockout was actually really good looking. Red Prime Megatron, Red Galvatron, Red Soundwave, Gun Mode Megatron. So any like little version of Megatron you have in his pistol mode that doesn't transform, that version of Megatron. Funko Pop Unicron, M Deluxe Skywarp, and just for fun, Action Master Rollout. Those and even more. Who knew that there was such a rich tapestry of non-transforming Transformers? I really thought that Alpha Trion was going to appear on this list somewhere. Ah well, it is what it is. Like I said, I'm already telling you now that the plan is for next week to be model kits. Model kits, that'll be an interesting one. For now, I want to say thank you for coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you are in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you're at it, hit the subscribe button, stick around and have some fun with us here on the channel. And don't forget, not for a moment, not for a second, that you right there, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.